Hey everybody, welcome to Social Media Live. I'm going to try to find my kazoo to entertain you all as listeners. Well, that's a marker, that ain't going to work. Welcome to Social Media Live, everybody. It's a beautiful day in Winnipeg today. It's minus 50, it feels like. Minus 30, who knows? We're going to wait for the guest of honor to join us right away, Jeffrey Bannon. Let's see if he goes on. Share your broadcast.
Kazoo.
Hey, it worked! The power of the kazoo, buddy! We're back! Jeffrey Bannon, General Manager of the SouthEast Event Center in Stienbach! Woo!
I heard the kazoo before. I heard the kazoo, then the invite came through, and I knew it can only be you. Yes.
Awesome, buddy. So let's circle back. So we're talking about the Milt Stegall story after all this technology failures.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, I had to leave early for an autograph signing. People waiting outside in line for hours.
Right.
And most athletes would just get up and say, "No, I'm done." This man, this icon, Mr. Milt Stegall, made sure that everything was signed the next day, and then stayed after practice. And what some people don't know is a lot of, for who he was and who his position in the league, the community, the greatest receiver of all time, one of the best Blue Bombers to ever put on a uniform. He would regularly come into the Bomber store the old way and ask every single day, "Do you need something from me? What do you need?" You know what I mean? And it became to a point where if he was on the field and I needed something signed, I'd put something in an envelope, put in his locker, no questions asked.
That's incredible, man.
Always there for us. And then, still to this day, I still get he's one of the reasons I got this job. So another Stegall story. So I'm going through. He's a reference of mine, and so going through the job process. And when I first did this interview, I didn't think I did that well. Like, I've done thousands of interviews. I know when interviews go well.
Why do you feel that way, Jeff? Because again, I'm reading this book. It's about 100 people that changed the world. You're not on this cover.
No.
But again, the way you work out, dude, you look like Muhammad Ali. You're full like a butterfly and sting like a bee.
Yeah.
You're still mean you make medicine sick, man. You're a confident guy. Tell me what happened. Tell our listeners. I
feel like I look more like George Foreman than Muhammad Ali. But either way, so what happens is I get this call. I'm standing in the middle of Rogers Place, an arena. I get this call. It's Milt. I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" He's like, "You applied for a job?" "Yep." "Did you have an interview?" "Yep." "Didn't go well. I don't think they'll be calling you for a reference." He's like, "I already got you the job, kid." I'm like, "Boom, thanks for the call," because when you go through an interview, it just doesn't go. You don't think it goes well.
Sure.
And the job I thought I was going to get before this one, apparently that interview didn't really go as well. So it was one thing. It was just weird how it goes, but for all those years working with Milt, to realize he still has your back, and then I'll have his back till the day I take my last breath. And he's actually coming up coming here at the end of September, just to be the honored guest and guest speaker at the Pistons banquet in Niverville, because we can't host it in Stienbach because it won't be ready. But that's a whole different story. So that's super exciting to be able to see him. And every time I get to see him when there's snow on the ground, I get a little bit of a chuckle, right? Because we leave the friendly confines of Atlanta up to winter in the prairies.
Absolutely, and considering now that WestJet and Air Canada, it's a lot easier to have them all come in, because I think Atlanta, that goes directly to Winnipeg, so it's not issues with like plane delays and what have you, Jeff. So that's incredible, man.
Yeah.
But you told a story on Smitty's podcast talking about how when you even applied for the Oilers, and again, one of the last time we really had a conversation like this was in Edmonton. So you had an interview in Edmonton. Basically, I think you said something along the lines like your buddy said, "Hey, listen, someone from Edmonton's going to call you."
I got a text message saying, "Are you interested in working for the Edmonton Oilers?" And I'm like, "I don't need this." It's just, like, you know, COVID, all this stuff. I'm like, I don't need this.
Right.
Like, I don't. Whoever's trying to be funny, I don't really need this.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, whatever. You know what I mean? I can't remember what I said. And then as soon as I sent that message back, I get a call from a really good friend saying, "Hey, I just gave the Oilers your number.
Wow.
You're getting a call."
Nice.
And I'm like, oh, and it was, you know, third party. I'm like, oh, so, you know, you grovel and you say, "Hey, I thought it was a joke, blah, blah, blah."
For sure.
Right? So,
did you have grovel at all, Jeff, in the process?
Yeah, but maybe I should have realized that a 780 area code is Edmonton, but I didn't realize that at the time.
For sure.
But that's a whole different story. But yeah, you live and you learn, and very fortunate to work for 2 years for the Oilers.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't take it back for the world, and it was a fun experience, right? But the NHL is it's big time compared to the CFL, but I can only imagine with the NBA, MLB, and the NFL. I can't even imagine the NFL. But at the end of the day, the work for the CFL, that's a family environment. That's wholesome. That's down roots. That's community. That to me will always be one of my favorite jobs so far.
For sure. And my feeling, Jeff, towards you, you said MLB, NBA, NFL. It only helps me but think about the game that you, Blaine, a mutual friend of ours, and a game that we attended, the Green Bay Packers and the Raiders.
Oh, yes.
If you ask me about the Raiders and the Packers game, was the game okay? Sure, based on the conditions and the way everything went down. But if, Jeff, me and you are being transparent, my question to the NFL is why you didn't hire Jeffrey Bannon to be your marketing campaign, because the merch, horrendous.
I remember that. I remember we walked by and we're like, yeah, what's going on? Yes. And then that was a good night though. That was fun.
It was good.
That was, you know, to see Aaron Rodgers, see the Raiders.
Yep.
Hey, Raiders cheerleaders, the whole, you know what?
Sure, absolutely. The cheerleaders sold the tickets.
It's the whole atmosphere. I think you got a picture. I think you got a calendar. That was just a good time. And then realizing at the end of the day, like the goalposts are moved. It's not supposed to be where they are. And but
it could have been more quantified as a baseball game, Jeff. If you ask me, my honest opinion, man.
Yeah,
but the bright side is the seats that you and Blaine and I had. At least you got to watch Antonio Brown on a unicycle. I mean, not a unicycle, one of those electric bikes. So that was entertaining.
Yeah. That was worth a couple $100.
You mean it look like George Foreman and Muhammad Ali in terms of physique wise? I may be trying to keep up there. I have a long ways to go, man. But come on, it was a good time.
Yeah, it was a good time. Yeah, I'm glad I went. It's one of those events where no matter what happens, you're just glad you were there. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah.
And Green Bay, like we said earlier in the previous podcast, before we had all the delays, Green Bay with what they had, with all the adversity they conquered, it was nice to see them in the playoffs.
100%.
Could have gone better, absolutely.
Yeah.
But like you said earlier, you live and you learn.
And it's funny, you know, after week 4 of this season in the NFL, all 4 NFC North teams are in the playoffs.
Yeah,
and, you know,
and it's incredible. They all have really good winning records.
Hail Mary, you know, the Hail Mary and Washington, I guess, against Chicago really started to derail them. And then you also realize maybe Caleb Williams, it wasn't the best quarterback to take, right? But you look at what those 2 quarterbacks, rookie ones, did yesterday, was just amazing. Phenomenal. Like just phenomenal.
It's a football clinic. Like you said, you and Kyle Walters had that when you were a referee and official. So you can put yourself in the lens of a coach and the lens of a referee, but also with what the players go through, because obviously your son and you have talks and working for the Bombers, you know with what the banter is and with what goes on behind the scenes that a lot of us aren't familiar with.
Yeah, it's funny when they, you know, I call it when they walk through the doors. And you know, one of the things I've always, I went through my football journey, is I realized you treat them just like humans, you treat them like anywhere else, but just on a game day, I just always kept my distance, and I would never say good luck. I'd say have fun, be safe, because you know what I mean. Because that, you know, you don't realize the superstition, but yeah, I can really tell you the athletes that put in the time and the efforts during practice and during the off season were the ones that were there first. Like, for sure. Athletes are creatures of habit. It was so each day I could tell you on a watch what time Doug Brown would show up, what time Milt Stegall would show up, you know, what time Buck Pierce would show up. It was clockwork, and then you know what, and you know, our job as support staff was to ensure whatever they needed they got. And you know, obviously Brad Fotty, one of the best equipment managers in any sport. In
general, good overall good person, man. You and both and I can talk hours about him endlessly.
Oh, we talk forever about Brad, right? I still don't understand how he wears shorts it's funny, like it's what -25 outside tonight. They're playing. Fotty's wearing shorts.
Exactly.
And so it was. Oh, it's
do you know the story about Albert Johnson? I don't know if you heard my interview with Brad, like Albert Johnson III at all, Jeff. But he told me a story about how everyone was getting in the gears about not shorts, and everyone's like, Fotty had shorts on, so everyone was giving Fotty the gears. He's like, oh geez, I better change it. I think Doug Barry was the head coach at the time, if I'm not mistaken.
Doug Barry. Doug Barry. Hey, Doug Barry was phenomenal, right? So it's but said, like, people don't realize how much work goes on behind the scenes. Sure. You see it, and when you see Brad, to me, I love seeing Brad Fotty doing nothing. Same thing with Al Couture, because that means that everything is going right. They can stand there, but they can, like, a clip can come off a helmet, a shoulder pad buckle can come off, and these guys got to, like, really spring into action, or athlete gets hurt. So it's funny how when I watch away games, I watch Brad Fotty, I watch Al Couture, I watch Darren Cameron on the media side, and
all those three guys could be in candidates for mayors, Jeff, just like you can. If you guys ever wanted to go for the mayor elections,
I'd vote for them. Like, obviously, having worked with them, I know them personally, but just to know all the work that they do behind the scenes is just simply phenomenal.
For sure. So, and like you said, Jeff, when you know these guys, like you met Khari, that would be your quote-unquote celebrity encounter at the McDonald's on Henderson.
Oh, yeah.
The biggest thing, though, as you alluded to about with the whole Stegall Khari thing, you treat them as people first. When I interviewed Brad Johnson, and we've had talks about that and all these other people, I want to know the human element about how they were raised. Because at the end of the day, football is just, like you said, you go 9 to 5, you punch in, you punch out. Sports they don't want to talk about. They want to talk about their life.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it's far and educate someone similar to Jeff how you live your lifestyle. Because during the pandemic, you were doing awareness. I forget what it was during the pandemic. If you want to touch on that, that'd be incredible.
Yeah. So a couple of things. Actually, we were so before the pandemic. Long story short, I started an apparel company, and so we were doing really, really well. It was starting to go up where I honestly thought this could be my full-time gig, because starting an apparel, the Bombers. They say I just fell in love with the whole apparel aspect, and I love the creativity. I thought outside the box. I didn't believe in a cheap $3 T-shirt. You know what I mean? So I really started to do that, and we really started to take off. Saw triple-digit growth, and then on potential to potentially make more money selling apparel than doing what I was doing. And then COVID hit, and so the funny thing is, people don't realize part of my divorce settlement is I took the business. So I gave up some assets in the divorce because I wanted to take the apparel company.
You had to liquidate a few things.
100%. So I gave X to get Y. And then, the reality is, because I thought the apparel company would be my retirement fund. I can do this. And then I really thought I was close to hiring people to start to expand. And, we're getting more schools, more businesses, more leagues. It was all happening. And then Derek, in a week, 2 weeks, nothing.
Right.
Still had debts, still had everything. So not only did I lose the apparel company, and then I lost what I lost in the divorce. So now I have less than nothing. So I started with nothing, and then apparel company. Now I still have the debt for an apparel company, which I was hemorrhaging my future on this. And then someone came to me, a good friend, said, "Hey, I have the ability to buy like containers of masks. Would you like to? Could you sell them for us?" And I'm like, well, those are all the rage. So I'm like, yeah, sure. I think I can give them, because that's all people were buying. And to me, a mask, a hat, a hoodie, it's all the same. So we got the basic masks, and then started to sell those, and did okay. But at the end of the day, lost money on the masks. So it was like 2 strikes in a row. And then I just said, at the end of the day, sometimes you have to realize in life, you got to take your lumps. And
But you basically bet on yourself. Like again.
Yeah.
Unaccumulated tomorrows. Like Jeff, since I've known you, like we've known like through mainly the restaurant industry, then obviously through the mutual friendship we have with Blaine, and then also our love for football and life. But the biggest thing though is you bet on yourself when you were younger. If you go all the way back to Jeffrey Bannon's childhood, Bombers, whether it was like say like media relations, whether it was retail, whether it was restaurant industry, being a father, like you have so many testaments of stories where you can inspire change to anyone with their lives. Yeah. You lose a lot, yes, but in the same turn, you may have had 2 strikeouts, but when we're at the bat, you hit a grand slam and you went running.
And that's the key thing about any analogy. You can get knocked down to the canvas 8 times. You got to get back up 9, and that's what it is, right? You're gonna. I love this stat where they say Brett Favre for a while was like had the most amount of interceptions, but then for a while he also almost had the most amount of touchdowns before, so they passed him. But you got to, a gunslinger throws, right? A shooter shoots, all right? So
And
you have to keep on
hopefully you
going.
play the cards you're dealt.
100%. And sometimes the cards aren't fair, but you have two choices. You stay on the mat or you get back up. You know what I mean? And then, I love the Mike Tyson quote, and I say this all the time to myself. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yeah.
And legitimately, it is what it is. And then, Derek, I don't know if I told you, but last January, I was actually, I called the ambulance for the first time in my life because I had a back issue. I was at the gym, really hurt myself, came home. If I didn't have my watch that I'm wearing now, and I was able to dial a certain number,
For sure.
I don't know what would have happened, but it really taught me that I think it was a wake-up call. Someone upstairs was saying, hi, I don't know if we've talked in a while, but you need to start to take care of your body. You need to take care of yourself.
And then not to respond on how to go about it, man.
And then,
like you said,
and then Derek, and then here's the kicker. I didn't listen. So it wasn't until 8 weeks ago, I started back on a fitness journey again, because I got to the heaviest I've ever been. Clothes wouldn't fit, and realized
you really were living the George Foreman lifestyle, man. Those George Foreman burgers.
I got the George Foreman grill just over here, right? So at the end of the day, I think that's right. Whatever you're doing in life, wherever you are, it's okay to hit stop. It's okay to hit pause, and it's okay to restart.
Yeah.
The only person you have to be accountable for is the person in the mirror.
For sure.
And in today's world, I listened to a podcast the other day, and this lady who just basically opened a whole new world to my life is, we're so worried about what other people think about us, and her quote was, just let them.
Do you find that social media has amplified that a little, Jeff, though? Because I think we all developed codependency personality traits.
I do.
Because the constant need, like you said, like going back to circle back about the Bombers.
Yeah.
If you just viewed Milt Stegall as the best Hall of Famer of all time, would he be your reference? Perhaps, maybe not. But then at the same time, though, you've created relationships that have left good impressions. But you also had a good quote you have on your social media. Something about the memories last or whatever, too.
It's not about the wins and losses. It's not about the wins and losses. It's about the friendships that you make along the way. And to me, it's when I worked for the Bombers, we didn't win. I was there for 10 years, 9 seasons. I went to the Grey Cup twice. Wasn't close. I can tell you why we lost both those championship games.
If you were the quarterback though in 2007, Jeff, perhaps you could have won. No offense to Ryan, but at the same time,
so those are things that really taught me. You go there now, and of course, was I jealous when they started to go to 5 Grey Cups in a row? I was jealous for 2 seconds, but then I realized Brad Fotty deserves this. Alan Couture deserves this.
Darren Cameron
Carol Barrett in the ticketing office. Jen Urich. You know what I mean? Everyone that was, and you know what? Wade and Kyle and Mike and Coach O'Shea deserve this because the work that they put in. Sure. You know what I mean? So and the athletes. So it's at the end of the day is as a fan, I want nothing but best for that organization. Actually, truth be told, I want nothing but best for all CFL teams. Because I think the league is phenomenal, and there's other sports where I look at certain teams and the way they're run and their front offices, and I can sure disagree, but doesn't mean I have to buy their merchandise or support them. But that just goes to show that I think integrity wins out wherever you go, and to me, I see this a lot on my social media now. Integrity is doing the right things when no one's looking,
and that's huge.
And that's
absolutely
huge, and that is it's I don't laugh at this, but to me it's the small things, like putting your cart away. You know what I mean? Parking properly, opening doors, saying please and thank yous. You know what I mean? It's I think chivalry is a lost art.
Sure. Helping out homeless, someone who needs a helping hand, which again, in my own life, you've been beneficial, Jeff. You give me a place to stay. And again, I'm very grateful and blessed to have you as a friend, even just for you doing that, man. So thank you.
Yeah. I think we need to be, this world is going to going the wrong way. And I just think we need to be kind. And, at the end of the day, if we all had to, you put all our differences aside and say, hey, listen, at the end of the day, we just got to survive. I think this world will be a better place. And I just think it's gone crazy. And I just think we need to love each other a little bit more. And listen, we can disagree on if you put pineapple on your pizza, I'll still eat it. Or if you wear a green jersey from the Riders.
You'll forgive me at the end of the day. Yeah,
I will. I'll eat the pizza with you. May not look right. But that's really about it. And then, like I said, everyone's at a different stage in their life, and the most important thing, and even what I tell these young men and women now involved in the high school football is, you need to get off to the right foot. You need to start to do the right things right now. It's about education. It's about setting yourself up for success. Because if you guys think you're going Division I, you think you're going to play in the CFL, it's a dream. If you're that 1%, I will buy your jersey and cheer you on and scream your name.
Absolutely.
But if you're the other 99%, I want you to get off to a good start in life. Because truth be honest, nobody cares. Work harder. And then, like I said again, nobody cares. Work harder, right? No one's going to say, woe is you. The world will spit you up and chew you out. And if you don't have that solid foundation and solid base that you're going to get in high school. And
we're all pistons on a car going on the wheel, Jeff. And it's
100%, man. And I bet you if you ask all of us now that are out of high school, I would love to go back to when I was 15 years old.
Well, for sure.
So, yeah, you know what I mean? So enjoy this while you can. And, at the end of the day, if something's wrong, don't be afraid to reach out to friends, family. Everyone's here to support. It's amazing how many people are there to support you that you don't realize. In all facets of your life, right?
And you just got to be transparent with what's going on, because 9 times out of 10, if someone's older than you or younger, they've dealt with it, or probably something a lot worse.
Yeah.
Then you adjust accordingly on the fly, Jeff.
Yeah.
But again, I want to because again, we're very due on time. I want to be respectful of your time as you are with me. When did you learn about becoming selfless to others? Where do you think it originated from? As far back as you can go.
I'm gonna say from my mom. My father passed away when I was 14 years old, and that made me the man of the house. As you can say, my brother's 3 years younger than me, and I looked up to my dad, idolized my dad, and then when I realized that my mom was raising 2 grown boys in Toronto by herself, you can imagine Toronto's not cheap.
Oh, and then even just driving on the 401 man and the 400 man. I've heard horror stories over there, buddy.
I don't mind visiting, but so when my mom moved, my mom made the decision to come back from Toronto to move back to Winnipeg, to give up her career, to give up her friends, to give up her life, so her 2 sons could have a better foundation, because my mom's family's from here. Right. To me, that was and Derek, here's the worst part. I didn't talk to my mom for about a year. I was mad. I was angry. I was 14 years old. I thought I knew everything. It took me years to realize what my mom did was for the betterment of her 2 sons. Yeah. And I can't tell you how embarrassed I was when I finally grew up and I realized my job here on this earth is to be better than what I'm doing and what I've shown to my mom. So I've just tried to give back. I've tried to let people understand that I'm here for you. I understand you. I don't care who you are, what color, creed, religion. Like I said,
or beliefs, political, let's just start to fester a loving environment.
Yeah. Unless you cheer for the Riders, then I'm
neutral.
But besides that,
especially when it's the
love you all.
1930 crew that you guys have going on. If you're a Saskatchewan, just stay socially distant at all times. And if you have to wear a mask, that's complying with regulations. We respect that.
Yeah, except for that weekend, I love you if you wear green. But yeah, that's where it came from. It came from a loving widowed mother that did everything for her. And my mom didn't have the means. My mom worked 2 jobs. My mom took a demotion to come here. My mom worked nonstop, and she did some side hustles on the side to put food on our table. And now
you inherited a lot of those tendencies too, Jeff, in a lot of ways, because I think you're living proof of everything that she did or wanted you to do, and your brother, obviously. And
then my dad being in the military, so his traits as well, and I think the strong work ethic comes from that side of being. My dad was in the military, then he went to work for McDonald's, opened several restaurants in his career back in the day. And, it's funny, like now to say, if people say, I'm going to mop, I'm raised by a sailor and someone that worked at McDonald's. I know how to mop. Right. Yeah, so exactly. When I see people,
how to start at the bottom and work your way up very fast.
That's it. And to me, nothing in this world is given. You have to earn it.
Yeah, and you don't look above or below anyone. You try to treat everyone as equal and try to see how you could fester their weaknesses and make it a strength. That's the way you've always been in your life, as much as I've known you or people that have known you.
Yeah, my dad taught me you treat the janitor the same way as you treat a CEO.
That's another good quote that I always read on social media too, as you were alluding to about until everyone gets punched in the mouth.
Hey,
so Mike Tyson, man.
Yeah.
So if you had to say, how do you pay tribute to people that you've lost?
By being better each day. Like for example, it's I had a friend that died right after in grade 7. He got his brother shot him with a shotgun by accident. One of my best friends. Then my dad died the next year after that. So I went through some. I didn't realize it till later on in life, but I went through some heavy grief. And I what I did, Derek, is I bottled everything up. And even to this day, people that are super, like, you can tell when I'm in a bad mood, But now but it's.
But you still have your heart and you have a lot of realism
still,
to you too, Jeff.
and at the end of the day, I just try to be a better person. I try to learn, and here's something that's very tough for me to do. I try to listen first now.
That's hard. I can admit to it.
It's so hard, but like when you have a conversation and people are talking, especially at work, I used to be the guy that would have that. I know the answer, but I wouldn't listen to what was being said in the room. And now I realize
that's the way that school sort of taught us that, all, Jeff. When you think about it realistically, because you know how you raise your hand and you have to be gimme. Mm-hmm. When you have actual real life conversations with people, you still have those me tendencies. I need to be heard. I don't care what you're saying. I need to talk.
Yeah, and it's always like the me first, you know. And I was in a work meeting today. It was my meeting. I run a meeting every Monday.
Self-sufficiency. It's hard when you're a piston on the wheel and first world problems, man.
I don't say much anymore because I find that if you communicate enough and you do this, you get your point across. And the best part is it's okay to be said no to, and it's okay to say no in a respectful manner. Like I'll be honest, I don't understand the political climate in the States. Like, you know, it's divided people. You imagine here in this country, us wearing PC or Liberal or NDP apparel. Oh, we don't.
Yeah, I'd be worried about everyone vandalizing my vehicle. I'm not going to be honest about it.
I'm going to love you. I don't care who you cheer for. I don't care who you vote for. If you're a good person, you have good morals. You
try to be better and strive for better success for other people. I respect that.
I don't care where you're from. Like, I really don't care. And I taught my kids this a lot growing up, and they can vouch for this. I say, if we were all the same, it'd be boring. You know what I mean? So I value people's diversity. And then, like, I want to be at a sports bar with people cheering for different teams. I want to hear why people want to protest. I may not agree with where they're protesting, but if you have a legitimate concern
and you have a good heart and a neutral understanding between both sides,
that is fine. Like, that's you're voicing your as long as don't impede my life, and I'm cool with that. But you know what I mean? But if someone has an issue at work or whatever, in football right now, I deal with high school parents all the time that have a difference of opinion on how they think the league should run and this and this. I respond to every single email. I let them know the whys, and if they don't agree with it, then we have a nice debate. And when someone gets smart or I'm like, I try to explain to them, listen, I appreciate what you're going through. I've been through what you've gone through, but this is why we made the decisions. And if you don't like what we're doing, please feel free to step up and volunteer. You know what I mean? But it's just trying to, I think when you explain to people, like, here's a perfect example. I scheduled high school football games no, it wasn't Jeffrey. It was the league scheduled playoff games on the 31st of Halloween. Yep. But the reason why we had to do that is because it was a Thursday. We play on Thursdays. The Bombers and the Bisons had the field booked the Friday and the Saturday.
For sure.
And so, several parents called and told me that
you have to have a sort of non-bias, considering that your son plays for the Bison. So it's very hard to put on that commissioner hat on or run a league, but also being a parent and also, as you said, dealing stuff with what everyone else is going through.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's, the NFL plays on Christmas. The NBA plays on Christmas. Yeah. If one of those days you want to get to the high league, you're not going to go, I can't play this day because it's playing on a holiday. So there's Ross Hodgkinson told me this when I started for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I said, hey, Ross, what's the stat policy at the Bombers? I remember 2005, went up to him. He looked at me straight in the eye and he's like, kid, there are no holidays in football. And I'm like, boom, here we go, right? Exactly. So you realize it is what it is, and it's not everyone is going to agree with you, but if you can articulate in a respectful manner, and it's okay not to agree with someone, but still be friends.
Exactly.
It's great. It's so to me, I just don't like that when people they
try
don't
to
agree
be their voice and try to derail other. Yeah. We're all entitled to our opinion as long as it's not too controversial. 100%. It's all good.
And you may actually be, so if you and I disagree and I'm listening to your opinion, I'm like, oh, you are right.
Yeah.
I didn't see it that way.
But it's like what you said, start listening and try to reason with communication, which is difficult for us as guys, because we'll internalize things for so long before we explode and fester with what's on our mind. And sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't, if we're being completely honest.
100%. It does, and it's easier to say nothing sometimes.
Yeah. For example, you're a commissioner. It's like saying, hey, Jeff, I want to take over being a commissioner. Do you know how to work with officials? Do you know how to conduct meetings? Do you know how to do all this prep work? Do you know how to get the coaches and the players on there? If I'm being completely honest, Jeff, you and I both can agree, no, because I've never been in a role you know what I do, I know what you do, man, but
Yeah.
I respect your opinion and on issues and vice versa. But sometimes we agree to disagree, but that's just being human.
It is. Yeah. It's like, you know, and it doesn't make a difference if it's what the fact that you're arguing over.
Yep.
I think more debating versus arguing and more listening. And I think that I just think today, I know, and I'm going to say my personal opinion is, I think I think we're more dependent on our phones, which is being less people communicating face to face.
I'll agree.
Like I love those things that you see, like leave your phones here, talk. You know, it's you know, my girlfriend says all the time, "Go put you on your phone." I'm like, yeah, dear, there's like 8 games going on right now.
For sure.
Look at scores. You know what I mean? But I'm like, okay, phone down. You know what I mean? But so
I get it, Jeff, but I would also argue at the same point of context. Me and you both love music. We both love The Watchmen. The Watchmen concert, if I'm on the phone, I feel like an idiot because I would rather watch the whole set from beginning to end, see what Dan's doing, what Ken's doing, Joey's doing, and 100%. Sammy's doing.
Yeah, to me, I'm not a fan of taking photos at live events or sports events because I want to enjoy the moment. You know what I mean? I want to be in the moment. I want to live the moment.
You knew that a lot more than I do.
Yeah.
And when you're in the moment, it gives more meaning towards the event you're attending.
Yeah, and I think sometimes the more the memories in between the years will come. Like, yeah, sure, I want a picture after me and you with the stage 100%. But at the end of the day, I want to be part of that moment. And if you think about 20, 25 years ago, we never had phones. We went to a concert. We were buying tickets from the door. we had to go buy. You couldn't buy tickets online. Right, you have to go up to Ticketmaster and wait outside at 9 a.m. on a Friday to buy tickets. It's crazy.
Or worst case scenario, go to the Shoppers Drug Mart and hopefully they have like a Ticketmaster. Then you're waiting in the lineup to go get tickets.
That was a good life hack there. Yes, sir. I wasn't that smart. Yes.
Yeah. And then at the same time, though, bud, I was talking to Archie Emerson earlier, and I'm sure you saw that post. He was saying you guys used to jump around in bushes. That was the fun. Being creative, exploring the outdoors. That's another lost art that's in society, unfortunately.
My mom used to say, "Oh, I know this. We have to be on when the lights came on."
Yep.
And then never were. And then one mother or father would open the door and scream the name, and we realized that okay, we got to go because if one parent hears this, but you know, it was a safer time.
Yep.
I don't see bikes around anymore.
Nope.
Used to be bikes all.
And you don't even see lemonade stands that more, and that's an entrepreneurship, and that's another whole conversation for another day.
I drive by a lemonade stand, I'm buying it all. Like it is over.
Business entrepreneurs, these kids are getting socialized on the right principles of making money and how to save money. I get it. Then at the same time, though, bro, is the biggest thing, Jeff, is also going to rent movies at video stores. Yeah, we have Netflix. It's good to see that. But I would rather rent a movie not knowing what it's about, going online. And, hey, it's a flop. Hey, I could rent another movie next time. And that art's phasing out, which sucks.
Yeah, and that's that was a thing, right? New movies came out on Tuesday. You had to reserve them on Friday. You got your 25% fee if you didn't rewind it.
Or the birthday club, you know.
Hello. Yeah, if they didn't have a Blockbuster, you went to Rogers. They didn't have Rogers, you went to Jumbo. It was one of those things where, you know, and you see the same people all the time, and then you walk into a video store at 11 p.m. on a night, and they're like, the only thing you have left is like, you know, 1980s Action Jackson or they're like, okay, I'll take Terminator again. You know what I mean? So it's pretty. That's how it went.
And plus the VHSs, if they were rewinded at the time, you would get hit like with a $7 to $10 fee. I'm like, are you kidding? The way that our wages were, can you imagine that now? Oh God, I can't pay this. Where are we going, man?
Yeah. Oh, those are good times. And racing back there, you have to be back by noon. It's like 11:59, putting in the slot.
Dude, 100%, Jeff.
Yeah.
So, Jeff, when you think of I'm going to try to wrap this up fast because we're doing really good for time, but at the same time, though, we'll do another interview eventually soon. When you think of the word successful, who's the first person that comes to mind and why?
When I think success, the first person that comes to my mind, I would say is 2 people. I'd say Jerry Maslowsky, right? And then I'd also say Lyle Bauer. Those are the 2 individuals that taught me the most in my career. But if I can just tweak that a bit, to me, the most successful, those 2 people allowed me to meet Milt Stegall. And to me, that is that's the most successful person because Milt came from nothing, a large family, and at the end of the day, everything he has, he's worked his off, and he has not stopped working. He ran a sub-5 in a suit at Grey Cup.
Yep.
Derek, you and I couldn't drive that fast. Right. So
never mind that fast.
So to me, I would give credit to Lyle and to Jerry for introducing me to Milt. And it's it's like, because his path was, coming from Miami of Ohio, not getting drafted. I think he got drafted by Green Bay and then got on with the Cincinnati Bengals for a couple of games. I know he wore number 84 there.
Yeah.
And then he got signed by Hamilton, didn't end up. Imagine if he went to Hamilton instead of us, and then comes to Winnipeg. And besides, so back when he was here, besides Timo Solani, maybe Dale Hawerchuk, is Milt maybe the most popular athlete ever to play in Winnipeg?
You make a contentious argument, man. Absolutely. Same with Dunnigan too. You can put him in that conversation as well.
And so I would say success to me. That's who's a success. I know we talked about Milt before, but it'd be Milt just because I know his story and I know what he's done.
For sure.
And you want to say came from nothing to, and now it's just he's so genuine in who he is. Yep. His success. Granted, when I watch him on TSN, that's a bit that's Milt on TSN. That's not, Milt down to earth. Milt will give you the shirt off.
Similar to me and you doing podcasts, but people that don't know us outside. But Milt Stegall, we're talking about him, very genuine. Lyle Bauer, yes, he's passed. It hurt us probably both. Yeah. You probably more so than me, but the Never Alone Foundation is the biggest testament, and him giving you opportunities about either you take the rope or you basically hang yourself and how you learn. Like those are good, like life lessons. And Jerry Maslowsky, we talked about the Raiders and Packers earlier.
Yeah.
I'm sure you had a lot of principles that was, why isn't Jerry here? Why am I not doing this? Because you guys would have had a game plan before the game even took into fruition.
Yep. And the best story, I love this back in the day, and it's over now, but Jerry and I will be on different ends of the field. We have our Blackberries. And this is before, you actually counted tickets, right? He's like, TSM what's the attendance numbers? We go back and forth. What do you think? I don't know. We sold 29 something. I think the rest showed up. Because it wasn't we couldn't just look on our phones back then. And he's like, tell him a sellout. Jerry, I see a couple hundred extra tickets as seats. He's like, look at the Rum Hut. I'm like, there's more than 200 people there. It's like sold out. So we go back and forth, and then we find out that the tickets the next day were like, Jerry, we're sold out. He's like, I told you. And I'm like, never doubted you for a second, boss. You know what I mean? But it was just one of those things. And then I can tell you times during Swaggerville, we oversold that place. It was just working for Jerry was just one of the best times of my life.
Whether it be at Canada Stadium or at Princess Auto Stadium, the memories that you have in your heart about whether it's Jerry Maslowsky, whether it's Ross Hutchinson, Darren Cameron, Lyle Bauer, Milt Stegall, Khari Jones, Mike Kelly, you name it.
Yes.
What is
good
something
people
that you believe that other people feel is insane, Jeff?
I believe at the end of the day, it's okay to be vulnerable.
Deep.
I believe it's okay to wear your heart on your sleeve and sometimes to take off your shirt.
Absolutely, and I think of the replacements from what they talk about quicksand because everything fades and eventually you want to try to be vulnerable at heart at the darkest times. Yeah. What is the book or books you've given most as a gift?
I'm reading actually now a bunch of books on service, but I would say the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. There's a chapter in there called The Big Mo about momentum.
Not about Big Mo from The Simpsons, though, right?
Oh, not about the Big Mo from The Simpsons. I would say I think it's Kent Blanchard, but the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership was one of the books that it really teaches you the highs and lows of how to become a leader. Nice. But granted, this book was based upon 80s and 90s leadership, right. But it really taught you how to understand that leadership isn't like this. It's like this.
It's the small things, and gradually, like the stock market, it's going to fluctuate over good the highs and the lows.
Yeah.
And what is your favorite documentary or movie?
A pure satisfaction movie. I'm a diehard Lethal Weapon type of guy. I love the Avengers, anything Avengers. I still cry every time when Iron Man passes away. Huge Star Wars fan. Can do that all day long. Documentary, that's tough. You know what, Derek? It's funny. As being someone of the Jewish faith, my mom is. I love learning about Hitler. I think he was one of the most fascinating people in the world.
Wasn't Hitler also part Jewish and part German, if I'm not mistaken?
I'm watching on the National Geographic what he built, what he did. I always think, what happened if it would have been different? He could have been one of the. I just find him a fascinating individual, and I take that aside. I try to look at the human aspect, but to me, those documentaries on National Geographic on Disney, and even I'll even watch Morgan Freeman voiced one about the evolution of the animal species. I forget what it's called, and it's just the things that we weren't taught in school you want to dig a little bit deeper. You know what I mean? You want to dig a little bit deeper,
For
dig
sure.
a little bit deeper, right? So, yeah.
And in terms of like, I was going to think that you were going to go say long time running by the Tragically Hip with Gord Downey, because I know you're a big hip fan and
Huge
music.
fan.
I thought that would also quantify in probably in your list of documentaries, but
Yeah.
Again, about Hitler, man,
Yeah.
I respect it, man. And it's hard to see that.
Yeah, the hip is working on something for a hip at the work, not the hip, but something like the hip at the work and at work. And it's the hip to us growing up in Canada. I think we're so blessed and privileged to be able to have that band because they're not known, say, north of or south of the 49th. And to me, the hip's just been instrumental in all of our lives.
For sure, coast
to
coast, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And music's timeless.
Yeah.
It grows on you, just like you said, when you listen. As you get older, you get better at the whole art of it. If you had to say, what's that purchase, $100 or less, that has most positively impacted your life in the last 6 months?
A purchase under $100 in the last 6 months. I'd honestly say I'm staring at a pair of Converse shoes right now that I have not opened, and I will not open until I feel I deserve it, because it was it's just something that I'm working towards certain goals in my life. And Derek, this is what my phone is being propped up against. I got one pair of Converse Transformer shoes.
Nice.
I was Optimus Prime. I bought I bought Megatron, and I will not wear these shoes. As you know, I'm a huge Converse fan.
Yep.
I will not wear these shoes until I reach a certain goal. And these are personal goals that I needed to do to get my life back on track. Start to get, coming back from my back injury. I just realized, woe is me, doesn't work
first
anymore.
Time,
so
like ever taking an ambulance in God knows how many years.
It's my first time ever.
Yeah.
And so, and it was fun, but at the end of the day, I'm like, it wasn't worth $535.
For sure, especially when you're in your mid-20s, buddy. But again, multiply that by 2.
Yeah.
But is one of your goals also being the watchman for the SouthEast Event Center? Have you reached out? Is there any intel you could give?
I don't need to give you intel. It will happen. As soon as we get a date, they will be on the docket. It's not just because I'm one of their biggest fans.
Oh, you are,
but I
absolutely.
Think that, the Watchmen, the Headstones, 5440 bands like that.
Pursuit of Happiness.
That Pursuit of Happiness, the Northern Pikes. I can go on. I Mother Earth. All the good Canadian bands, the Trues. Huge Sheepdog fan, even though they're from Saskatchewan. But
we'll give them a break.
But no, I think we're gonna go out and we're gonna be extremely aggressive after those. And obviously, I can't just say, hey, I want the Watchmen because I'm a fan. Has to make a right business case, but
for sure,
I'm pretty confident it'll be the right business case. So
what's your favorite song by the Watchmen, and what's your favorite concert you went to see the Watchmen? Because you've been a couple, as have I.
All Uncovered. And favorite Watchmen, I don't know what year. I'm going to say 1995, 1996. They played New Year's at the Convention Center. And it was, so they threw out condoms in packages. It said, buckle me in on the highway to sin. I had that condom in that package till I probably moved to Edmonton. Right. It was probably dust because it was probably 20-something years.
Yep.
But when they were just starting out, like they would throw out drumsticks and all that stuff. And they played in front of thousands. But you have to imagine 20-year-old Jeffrey with 10 of his friends graduated high school a couple of years ago, thinking we're invincible at the convention center for New Year's.
Yep.
It was a very, very good
for sure. And if you had to say, Jeff, what are your morning rituals these days? What does the 40-minute first 60 minutes of your day look like? Like, you don't sleep often, like as I said earlier. You're awake 24 hours a day, so you're like a night owl. But like you said, you have prescription sleeping pills. As am I, full disclosure, guys. It helps out. Go see your doctor when you have issues. Huge issue.
Derek, I just changed recently because I wasn't being effective in the morning. So I get up. First thing I do is I step on the scale. I know it's not good, but I'm in a weight loss journey right now. But I'm also
35 pounds right now, Jeff.
277. I was 290 I was 290 to start in December, highest I've ever been.
So I stopped gambling, man. I never would have won that one.
So but it's like, so I'm doing weights, I'm doing all that. So what I'm doing actually right now, Derek, is my first 20 minutes is I'm actually tracking all my successes from the day before, my calories, what I'm eating, my cardio, my weights, my stretching routines, so I'm really seeing where I am. And then when I never used to do this, I never used to eat breakfast at home. I would go out, hit the drive-through or do something wasn't good. So now I do meal prep.
But being respectful, Jeff, you're always on the go back then, and relatively you still are. But I was hearing you and Smitty talk about it. Stienbach, you could go commute place to place. In Winnipeg, the way the traffic is, you would rather be in Stienbach to avoid all the chaos in Winnipeg. And you have a lot of friends and family in Winnipeg, but at the same time, though, the luxury of making food at home, I'm sure it starts your day in a good mindset.
It does. And I'm getting the right macros, what I need now, getting the right protein. And it's funny how, it's taken me a while, but I like an egg I like a certain type of, egg sandwich with cheese and Canadian bacon on a toasted English muffin. And I like it my way. And I do that. And, and then I get ready. I make my protein shake, and then I bring that with me to work. And then I'm very fortunate. I work, it's less than a 15-minute car ride to work, and then get on there, listen to the NFL or NHL network. And if that doesn't work, I put on 90s on 9 on Sirius and jam out to 90s hip hop on my way to work.
Incredible, buddy. And if you had to say, what obsessions do you explore on the evenings and weekends? We touched briefly about football, but again, you're also a father. You have obviously your girlfriend. You still like to come into Winnipeg from time to time, and also the event center. So what's your obsessions, Jeff?
I just want to be with people. If that makes any sense. And I want to do things differently. Like, for example, great, it's going to a Jet game or a Bomber game or a movie, but I want to go on a hike to a place we've never been before. I want to try a restaurant we've never been to. I think Winnipeg has has so much things to do that we say Winnipeg has nothing to do.
Frankie's Italian that we both love, Jeff. Shout out to Joy Ella. We love Joe. Shout out Joe.
My son's girlfriend works there. So
nice.
I just found that out on the weekend. So that's the best pizza, best gnocchi. I probably butcher that term. I say it all the time. I love
rigatoni Silesia you'll ever have too. The rigatoni.
I love
mint.
That's my first restaurant I came to when I came back from Edmonton. First night went to Frankie's.
Absolutely.
But no, I want to discover, and I just want to live my life in a way going, I didn't know.
For sure.
Like, it's like going to a different exhibit at the art museum, or it's just being different and finding out more about people and learning. Because right now, maybe it's weird. I wish I would have this passion when I was in high school, Derek, about learning now, because I want to. And then here's something really weird. Like, if I watch a movie now and I don't know, I want to do research on this movie. Who's the actor? Who's this? And then something weird in my head. Like, I love these comedy scenes where they die laughing. I'm like, how many takes did that take?
For sure.
What I mean? Like, because
Or where was this scene filmed? How much was the budget? Who was allocating this
stuff?
Well, it was stuff. I'm gonna say, wait a minute. That's crazy. What topic would you speak about if you were asked to give a TED talk on something outside of your main area of expertise? That could be retail marketing. Obviously, football. You know a lot of stuff, Jeff.
I would say, though, too, and I would love to do this. I'd love to speak to young men, actually young men or women, and just give them the advice on how to be a better young adult and how to set themselves up for success based upon my failures.
Gotcha.
I did this last year for the U18 provincial team. I took the 40 athletes that traveled with us to Regina, rented a room, and I went through a conversation. And Derek, it's everything from how to start to save, how to understand taxes, and then how to treat people, how to understand failure, chivalry. I really think that we need to get back to a time where we need to respect each other a little bit more, and also love each other. And then bringing it all together, we need to be kind to everyone.
Absolutely, Jeff. If you could have one gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, what would it say? It could probably be something you just alluded to.
Give me 2 seconds. I'll show you what it would say.
Sounds good.
I have this.
There you guys go. Free karaoke. Just stop me singing.
So I need your
plugs for that.
I have this little thing. Underneath my TV. The batteries. It just says love, hustle, and be kind.
Love, hustle, be kind.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So to me, that's what my billboard would say, right? So you got to love each other. You have to hustle, and if because like I said, no one's going to do anything for you unless you're privileged. But at the end of the day, some of us start working paycheck to paycheck and then get a side hustle, get a side gig. But it's also hustling in your life, in your marriage, in your relationships with your family. Can't stop, won't stop.
Exactly. Do you have a quote you live your life by or think about often? Is it probably with what you just showed me?
Knowledge is power.
Yep.
So, and to me, that's one of the most important things. If you have to seek the knowledge, and if you truly want to be powerful in everything that you do in life, you have to seek out knowledge.
And everything will come in spurts, like you said about that book, 21 Leadership. There's gonna be ebbs and flows, and you have to just go with the times, with the trials and tribulations, and the cards you're dealt.
100%.
Yeah. So, what have you changed in your mind about in the last few years, and why?
I've changed the notion that we're not all in this together, if that makes any sense. There are people that are out there for themselves. There are people that are trying to pass their views onto others. But reality, most of us just want to get along. And if you sometimes separate the noise, there's always going to be one or two people that are always going to be not, and it's okay not to be liked by everyone. It's okay. Let them not like you. Let them not agree with you. You know what I mean? Let them try to bring you down. But to me, that just shows their insecurity. Because if someone is worried about you and making an issue about you, then that means they're already intimidated by you for no good reason, right? So
exactly. And basically, what is the worst advice you see or hear being dispensed in your world?
Selfishness. I see you see that a lot. You see people worrying about themselves, and I would say advice too is. I think there's a real misconception in this world about the jobs that people do. So, for example, right now, I would, if I could preach to any young person, I would say get into the trades till I couldn't speak anymore.
That's what our team was saying. Holy jeez, that's like a time word, man.
Trades, welder, HVAC. You know what I mean? Like even my daughter wants to be a dental hygienist. You know, an X-ray technician. Those are. Because baby boomers are getting older.
Oh, absolutely.
We're getting older, but there's a fundamental shortage. And then, sure, the path that is set for one person is not set for the others. I grew up, Derek. And hey, you have to find a partner. You have to have a social. You have to buy the house. You have the white picket fence, the dog, the children. If I could give my advice to my two children, you do whatever you want. You live your life how you want. You want to travel. You want to explore. You want to go to school. You don't want to go to school. I want you to be happy. I want you to be a good person, and I want you to be a positive role model to the community.
Besides that, stuff, which is incredible. At the end of the day, man.
And at the end of the day, who cares what you do?
No,
it doesn't make a difference who you are. You know what I mean?
When you go to the grave, it's about the difference you made in others' lives and the people closest to you. That's all that's going to stand out.
That dash in your headstone is the most important thing.
Absolutely, and like the real estate between our ears, the story that we tell ourselves, good or bad. And we're all guilty of like not feeling good because we all have ebbs and flows, man. If you had to say, what advice would you give to your 20, 25, 30-year-old self, and please place where you were at the time and what you were doing?
So at 25, I was probably a manager at McDonald's, just got married. I would say to myself, Jeffrey, follow your family footsteps and join the military. And get your education through the military, get into the officer program, and start your career that way. I would honestly, that's what I would. I was the first male in my family who did not go into the military.
Wow. And Jeff, if you had to say, what do you believe is true, even though you can't prove it?
Deep down, that we all want to be loved.
Absolutely. And what is something really weird or unsettling that happens to you on a regular basis?
I look in the mirror and think I'm not good enough.
But you are. That's the biggest thing. That's Khari, man.
Thank you.
Any ask or request for our audience and last parting words?
I would love to say, thanks for listening. What you're doing, Derek, is phenomenal. Spreading the positive vibes for this community. And I would just say them to speak up to and reach out. If you're thinking about reaching out to someone that you haven't reached out to a while, a simple, hey, text, how you doing? What's going on? Goes a long way. Because sometimes, I'll get a text from that, or I'll send a text. Each week I try to, and I have, we all have hundreds of people on our phone, but sometimes you have a person that says, hey, what's up? You know what I mean? Just start the conversation. Yep. If they don't reply back, then but don't be afraid to take that first step to re-engage, because sometimes some of us are going through some pretty dark times, and a simple, hey, and there's like stories that can open up memories, open up laughter. I would just encourage people to reach out, especially with technology. For sure. Remember when we grew up, the phone was on the wall. And I think we talked more to people.
Yep.
Thank you. 999, 998. Now I don't think we connect with people as much, and just support each other. I think we need to be more positive who we are. For example, a friend opens a business, support them. A friend launches online, watch them. Do what we can, because at the end of the day, you can watch your 6 hours of Netflix a day, but what is Netflix going to do for you?
Absolutely, Jeff. Thank you very much for joining this podcast. Would you be up to coming soon, Dan? John Cola, shout out, Jeff. Do you know Dan John Cola?
I don't. Do I know Dan? But if not, I want to know Dan. He was the kicker of
the Bombers in 2009. And he was with BC in Toronto for a lot of years. No Prefontaine's backup. So my brother, Dan, John Cola, thank you for joining us. Jeff, do you remember him? What's up?
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you guys for tuning in this podcast. Jeff, would you be interested in coming on another time?
I will talk. I just talked to my agent and he said yes. We're good.
Sounds good. Corresponding agent. And it's not Dan, John Cola, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
All right,
Peace,
brother,
love, be kind to each other. Show appreciation towards each other, guys. Be kind at the end of the day.